We spend about the first week talking about argumentation, persuasion, and debate theory. So we start out with classical rational model theories, starting with the Greeks and going up through early psychology, direct processing kind of models. And then we move into models that criticize those people, so the feminists, the narrative theorists, some of the later psychologists. And that whole time we're looking at popular artifacts, so presidential debates, political ad campaigns. We do a case study on the Cuban Missile Crisis and the way that different models of argument play into how decisions were made. Then we take those theories, apply them to debate kind of as a game is theorized. So we learn how to write debate positions, how to do research, how to put that research into those positions, and how to formulate a persuasive argument. Then we do two kinds of debate. We start out with Lincoln-Douglas debate, which is directly evidence-based. We're reciting the evidence directly, we're reading pieces of evidence. And on that we have a single topic. So this year we're debating expanding offshore oil drilling in the wake of the BP disaster. Then we follow that with parliamentary debate, which is done in partners, and you are not allowed to read evidence directly in the round. And for that the topic will change every round. So they learn a half an hour before the debate which side they're on and what they'll be debating. And we do a lot of popular contemporary issues specifically that are relevant to the educational system. So we debate things like school uniforms and No Child Left Behind and the way that schools are administered, property taxes, that kind of stuff. Quote of the semester so far, one of the students yesterday said that he would rather have debates than play dodgeball at JVA. And that's the point that you know things are starting to click. Because the first couple of debates are always painful for everybody, for us watching, for everybody participating, because we're just trying to get the format down. But then once you get those rules down, it's kind of like playing chess, where once you learn how the pieces move around, then you can start experimenting, and then you can start to experience some success in manipulating the way that other people are behaving in the round, and being competitively successful, as well as just learning the process and the content. So yeah, I'd say people are clicking pretty well with the process so far. And that'll only get better at the end of the semester when we finally have we crown our champion at the end of the parliamentary tournament. Unlike the other classes, we don't actually end up doing any field trips at all. We confine ourselves to the debate room and around Barnett Hall because we need so much lab time to do all the research and to do the debates. We bring in outside people to judge the debates and to help coach people. Dean Minch will be judging our final round, I think, this year. We've got members of the Truman debate team that have come in. We're divided out into labs that work as independent units and then compete with each other. And each of them are facilitated by Truman debaters. Two of the Truman debaters, actually, that are coaching the labs both made it into the top 16 debaters nationally this year. So the kids are getting a lot of outside experience and being brought into the classroom, but we're not really leaving very much. But we also give them a lot of benefits for a high school career. I mean, I wish I would have had this kind of experience before I started debating in high school, because novices in high school often, the coaches have so many students to deal with that most of the attention goes to the top varsity, and the novices end up feeling their way through things the first year until they sort of identify themselves as serious enough for the coach to talk to them. So, I mean, several of the students that are around JVA this year were in the class last year and have come back and told me that they went out and won high school tournaments as freshmen this year. So, getting that kind of a pipeline set up for high school success, and then eventually, hopefully, coming to Truman and competing on the team here and continuing that success is one of the goals. Yeah. Well, I can't speak for the other classes because I'm not in them, but this class specifically, they pick up a ton of skills that will be really useful in high school. I mean, not just getting exposed to some classics in terms of Greek writing and that kind of theory, but also learning a methodology for note-taking that derives from the way that we take notes in debate, learning a research methodology that allows them to garner pieces of evidence to support their claims very, very quickly in a laboratory-type setting, and then also learning how to interact with those pieces of research, placing them into an argument. And debate is a really stylized format, but translates really well to writing essays because the structure internally is identical to the way that you would write an argumentative or a persuasive essay. And I know in sessions past I get a lot of Facebook messages that say, wow, it was really easy to write the term paper because we did so much research and I had the tools to just complete the research that needed to be done and then turn that into a paper. So I think the students, in addition, are getting kind of a critical thinking toolbox in engaging those arguments, being forced to take both sides of them. So between critical thinking and research skills and note-taking skills, you end up with a complete package of preparation for high school that is unlike exposure that a normal student would have. The key thing is that we give them a set of tools at JBA and in a class like this, and it's a question of whether those tools continue to get utilized. So teachers and parents need to force those students or encourage those students to continue asking hard questions, addressing harder research topics as opposed to some of the more trite, basic 5-paragraph theme sort of structure that you see in a lot of introductory high school classes. I know a lot of people that I talk to are surprised that our very first topic is, what do we think of the legislative response to the BP spill, and what kind of policy would be a better choice? And from day one, we're picking apart the experts in Obama's commission that are evaluating this for the content of their arguments. And so I think the first thing that parents and other teachers need to do is overcome that first hurdle of faith to understand that no, there's no content-based restriction that would stop a certain age of person or a certain experience of person from being able to engage those big questions. And then secondly, to create opportunities for those to be deployed. And I know one of the toughest things, especially in the public school system, is dealing with students of really varied experience levels and varied ability levels. But I think this kind of ability needs to be cultivated and encouraged as opposed to quashed to kind of, teach down to the lowest common denominator. Gotcha. What I'm always amazed by is that we get such a range of modes of expression of that intellect. And I think sometimes, especially in a world of No Child Left Behind and standardized testing, it's very easy to channel a single dimension perception of what intelligence is. But what debate allows you to do when we're talking about a clash of ideas and a clash of strategies is to creatively deploy that. And that's why in the first 2 days alone we learned, I think, 16 different models for ways an argument could be structured, many of which are mutually exclusive to each other, have different strategic advantages and disadvantages. And so the first task was, which model fits the way that you as a person think, the way that you as a person speak, and the way that you will choose to engage debate. So when we're actually participating in our first round of competitive debates right now, and each person has a completely different approach to both the affirmative and negative sides. And in every round, as they're debating each other, different ideas come into clash. I wish I had known about JBA when I was this age. I didn't get to go have a debate-specific experience like this until after my sophomore year, and then it was super expensive and in a much more sweatshop type environment. So, no, I'm proud to be a part of participating and giving these kids this kind of opportunity.